Why the lightweight old guard is already gone? Man, first thing that I'm going to say, I know you guys. Man, I was completely wrong in my last video. I was saying that Gaethje and Oliveira were the ones to beat Makhachev. But now I think that no one beats Makhachev at lightweight. Man, I'm not impressed by Tsarukyan's performance. I'm not impressed. I don't think that Tsarukyan is going to beat Makhachev. Maybe a Tsarukyan that is going through a hard camp and I don't know 7 months of preparing to Islam. Maybe this Tsarukyan is going to beat Makhachev. But I don't think that Tsarukyan who fought Oliveira is going to beat Makhachev. With this said, let's talk about the lightweight old guard. We know that in 2021, 22, and 23, the top 3 lightweights, we had Charles Oliveira, Poirier, and Gaethje. At certain time, Charles was the champ, then Makhachev became champ, and the top 3 was everything about Charles, Poirier, and Gaethje. But after UFC 300, we have seen a big change where Arman Tsarukyan became the #1 contender and the top guy in that division. And man, I'm really surprised that Tsarukyan was able to beat Charles. The only way that he could beat Charles, he did it. And man, was a split decision, was a close fight, and I agree. I think that Tsarukyan won that fight, but if Charles had won, I wouldn't be surprised because, man, it was a really close fight. Now, the top 3 lightweights are Arman Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira, and Dustin Gaethje. And I say that the lightweight old guard is gone because Charles has not many fights left. And Gaethje, if Gaethje loses his next fight, I know that he's going to retire because Gaethje is way different than other fighters. I think that he's going to retire. And Charles, man, Charles either is going to be losing fights, what I don't think. I think that he's going to stop. And let's talk about how these guys started to fall off. And I think that this all began when Charles stopped being champion, when he lost to Makhachev, because then he had beaten Dustin Poirier and Dustin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier already had the Khabib loss, and then he went to lose to Charles. And man, these are 2 guys that are very good. One of the best lightweights to ever do it. I think that Khabib, then Islam, and then Charles are the best lightweights to ever do it. After this, he went there in a BMF fight against Dustin Gaethje, and before that he had beaten Michael Chandler. He went to the BMF fight against Dustin Gaethje and he lost by KO. And man, that was hard, was really hard to see. And let's be real, we all love Dustin Poirier, but do you think that this guy is going to beat Makhachev? I don't think. Man, I don't think that he's going to beat Makhachev because Makhachev is a monster. Man, I don't think that any lightweight in the roster right now can beat him. And I think that this is his last fight. If he loses, we might see a retirement from Dustin Poirier, and that's going to be good for him. He's rich right now, and man, good luck. Let's talk about Charles Oliveira. Man, at UFC 300, guy, he disappointed us because I really expected Charles Oliveira to come guns blazing this fight with everything scrambling, making the fight go to the places where he's comfortable, either on the feet or him dominating Arman Tsarukyan on the ground. I really expected him to scramble a lot, to escape the top control, because he was able to do it when he wanted, but he was too comfortable on his back, and he almost finished Tsarukyan 3 times. A first round guillotine, a second round triangle, third round theirs, and man, Charles Oliveira was really comfortable, like, man, I don't have to get points. Man, what the fuck? In the second round, I think that his coach Diego Lima said to him, don't be on your back. And Charles, what he did, stayed on his back. Charles should have beaten Tsarukyan. He had everything to beat Tsarukyan, but I'm not really bad. I think that he can make one fight against Gaethje, maybe wait Tsarukyan fight Islam and then fight for a interim lightweight belt, because I think that if Makhachev beats Poirier and Tsarukyan, he's going up or is retiring, one of these things. And if he's going up, I think that he's going to vacate his belt or have an interim belt. And I think that by this time, if Charles has a win over Gaethje or some other name, I think that he's going to fight for the belt. And if he fights for the belt, I think that he can win, but I'm not so sure, because this performance was really bad. Charles was a really bad performance. Talking about Justin Gaethje, man, Justin Gaethje, I love Justin Gaethje, man. He's one of the best fighters that ever did in the lightweight division. He brought violence and everything. And man, he lost the BMF title. And I think that at the top 5 of the lightweight division, there are really bad matchups to him. Charles, no. Dustin Poirier is going to fight to the belt. I think that this fight is not going to be possible. Maybe as a last fight from these two guys, I think that they can agree to do a last fight, a trilogy for their rivalry, because they don't have a real rivalry. But okay, I think that this is the only way, but it's not because they're going to fight for the belt. But Tsarukyan, I don't think that Tsarukyan is going to fight Gaethje, and if he fights Gaethje, he's going to smash Gaethje. And he was knocked out stiff by Max Hollway, and this is fucking bad for everyone. And I think he's going to try to fight one more time or twice, and I think if he loses, he's going to retire. I think that the only fights that make sense to Gaethje right now is Oliveira and Dustin Poirier. He fights Oliveira. If he loses, he fights Dustin Poirier.